Okay, so I've got this curved background and I want to add a material to that. In this case, the idea is that it's like water maybe flowing down across the scene, like on a back wall, that type of thing. So first things first is I'm going to push G to grab this and and move it up a bit. And then I'm in my shading viewport and I'm going to push new to create a new material. I will call it water. Let's go ahead and make this a lot bigger. And I'm going to give it a base color. So I've got my principal BDSF and material output that pop up by default when you create a new material. And that's fine in this case. So I'm just going to go ahead and base color. We'll give this a little bit of color. The next thing is I've seen this thing called Musgrave texture. And I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And yep, make sure that, okay, so, and I'm going to go from height to normal. And it gives me this little kind of blobby, watery kind of texture. So that's cool. Next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to search for a bump. And I'm going to put that in there. All right. All right, so nothing appears to have necessarily changed, but if I grab, it's right now it's running from height to normal, and then from normal to normal. And rather than going from height to normal, if I move it from height to height, it gets more of a textured look to it, which I think is great. Now at this point too, we can probably play around with the settings. See, like I can take the strength back a little bit if I want it to be a little more subtle. I can scale this up if I want it to be like a larger or small, or take it down, depending on what size these waves and undulations are. There's also this setting, Lawsunerity. And if I adjust that, you sort of get an effect with an effect happening. So that's something to be aware of. A lot of it is just kind of playing with the settings. Um, so that being the case, I think the next thing we want to do is having an eye towards maybe being able to move this as time goes by, maybe as I animate this or whatever. I'm going to add a little bit of texture, coordinates, and mapping. So I'm going to go to add and I'm going to search for texture. Okay, coordinate, and there's texture coordinate right there. I'm going to pop that in here. And then I'm also going to do a search for mapping and put that there. And then what I'll do is I'll just run from generated to vector. And then from vector to vector, and we get that. No dramatic change. But now, one of the things that I can do, that looks really textured. So I definitely want to play with those settings. Maybe I just adjust the scale and take it up a little bit more again. Um, Maybe I've gotten too subtle there. I don't know. We'll have to take the strength down. Something to consider. I'll take it back up, I guess. But the other thing that I can do now is I can also play around with these settings, and maybe what if I can animate this feature later and have it like this is just sort of flowing down, creating that type of effect. So that's, for the moment, I'm going to leave it. I'll play with the settings because this isn't quite where I want it to be, but this at least gets me a little bit closer to the mark. I'll probably circle back around on this material later to make it more nuanced, but this is at least a reasonable start for basic shader that mimics water, basic material that mimics water.